road trip. Who's in?
No, not you, Seamus.
Ah, poo.
Sorry to leave you in the dust, FCS and South Dakota State fans, but we're on to bigger and better things as we welcome you to the Bison Overtime Show. I'm Grant Harper, Peter Velka, Ethan Eibach alongside. Can't believe I'm saying this, boys, but tonight we're previewing the 2026 FBS college football season because North Dakota State's in there, so let's make our picks. Let's do this.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I've been waiting for this show for about a month now.
Can't believe we are what is it, less than 4 months away from NDSU's home opener against Jacksonville State.
Yep, so let's start with UND because why not? We learned today that they have cut their men's and women's tennis programs due to budget cuts, which means they're only down to 15 varsity sports. That's one fewer than required to be FBS in football. More cost-cutting measures at UND, apparently.
Yeah, what was it, like 10 years ago when they cut women's hockey?
And baseball.
And baseball was like very flying under the radar, but they had storied baseball there. It's just typical of the little brothers up north to cut a program, and now, like you said, now they can't, even if they wanted to, they can't move up unless they add a sport, which I don't think they want to anyway, but yeah, just disappointing for them.
It's kind of a trend we're seeing across all universities where they're starting to cut more sports to provide funding for their football, their basketball, sometimes in their baseball programs. It's tough to see it, and it's just a terrible look for the collegiate game.
Yes.
Yeah, so let's move on now to NCAA basketball. It's finally come from on high. They're going from 68 to 76 teams, so it means 8 more bids. Likely to the power conferences instead of mid-majors. Just as a reminder, Belmont, they won 30 games last year and did not make the NCAA tournament. They were in the Valley. I think they were the top seed in the Missouri Valley Conference and lost. The NDSU women, however, would have gotten in. So the Bison have dealt with the positives and the negatives of this. So maybe now we have a chance to see the women in the tournament. But do we like it? Do we not like it? What do we think?
I don't like it because you said the power conferences just get your 16 and 17 Auburn get in or whatever it was. They'll get in, and then NDSU could go 32-0, and then they could lose in the first round of the Summit League tournament. They're not getting in. And even now, if you're a 15 seed, which the Summit League almost always is a 15 or a 16.
6 of the last 8 tournaments,
Yeah, you're going to have a playing game now. Like, it used to be if you just avoid being the 16, you're in the tournament. Now you're going to have to win a game to get in.
Folks should be prepared to witness 16 and 14 teams coming into the tournament. And I'd be more for this if they were more in favor of having those mid-majors in it, as Grant mentioned with Belmont. It's just it's very sad to see them cave just for money aspects, and I'm just going to be very, very frustrated when we see these mid-power teams get in.
Yeah, so also, let's go fully on football the rest of the show now. Starting with some more late transfer news that came down. The Bison grabbed Chance Tucker at the University out of Notre Dame. He's a defensive back, former 3-star prospect, played 14 games in South Bend. He should have 2 years eligibility. We'll have to check that, but he spent 5 years at Notre Dame. Do you remember? You're our Notre Dame guy here, Peter. Do you remember Chance Tucker playing at all at Notre Dame?
So their room is so deep right now that he got some playing time and some meaningless bowl games and all of that nature. He's lengthy. Yeah. He can defend everything. It's going to be interesting to see where he fits into this defensive back's room. But I'm kind of excited, and we kind of tagged on this with NDSU's getting a lot of those high major things, and as Don Mizzle kind of pointed out, it's very hit or miss with those big time players. That's why I think all three of us can agree we kind of prefer those Division II players.
Yeah, one last thing is that he missed 2024, the year Notre Dame went to the national title game. He had an injury and didn't play his true freshman season. So, again, we don't know how much eligibility anybody has anymore, but he has at most 2, but we know he has at least 1 year left, Ethan.
Yeah, it's, bulks up the DB room already, was a little thin. And, I'm not going to get overexcited because I kind of dogged on SDSU fans for getting excited about getting a Notre Dame guy.
Well, that was a walk-on, though. Yeah. This guy was recruited to play at Notre Dame.
The point being, I don't think this guy's going to come in and just be Marcus Williams. But I'm pretty sure he'll probably be second or third guy in the depth chart. So, yeah, definitely exciting. Yeah,
the 27 class, still getting some work done on that. Hunter Peterson, a tight end from Watertown, South Dakota. He verbally committed, but he finally made his official announcement that he is committed to NDSU. So you have some words on this one, so I'll let you have the floor on this one.
Yeah, a lot of the talks about, moving to FBS. And I think 10 years ago it would be true that if you were FCS or G6, it didn't matter when recruiting as much. Now I think it does with how the landscape of college football is. If you're in South Dakota and the Bison are going after you, would you rather go play in Brookings, you play the semifinals, you're playing Villanova in front of 6,000 people, or you're going to come and try to play for a Mountain West title? clearly it matters because the Bison just got a guy from South Dakota, and I love Spencer Wage's tweet, the best players in South Dakota play at North Dakota State.
Yeah.
And with Hunter Peterson coming now into this tight end room, he's a little undersized for the room. He's 6'3", 225. But those South Dakota players, they do work hard, such as Wagey.
So instead of Kramer, to be Napolied? Is that a good way to put it?
That nature.
Okay, so why clicked on this video? This is our full breakdown of the college football season for 2026. We're going to go through the gambit. So let's start off with we love doing our polls. We'll bring those back. So our top 25 polls. Peter's first up. What is his top 25 looking like?
So the first overall team and my rated number 1 team, Texas. And the second spot is Georgia with Gunnar Stockton returning, and they have a pretty light SEC schedule. Third is Ohio State. Fourth is Indiana. Fifth is University of Miami winning the ACC. Sixth is Oregon with Dante Moore returning. Now it gets a little dicey now with the Brendan Sorsby news with his gambling. I have Texas Tech at 7th. I have the Notre Dame Fighting Irish at 8. I have LSU at 9. I have the Ole Miss Rebels at 10. I have Texas A&M at 11. I have Oklahoma at 12. So that is 4 SEC teams in a row.
Yeah.
Michigan at 13. Alabama at 14. Brigham Young University at 15. Penn State at 16. Tennessee at 17. The University of Southern California at 18. Houston at 19. South Carolina with Stellers back and Dylan Stewart off the edge. Number 21st team is Clemson. 22 is James Franklin's Virginia Tech. My sleeper team is Oklahoma State. 24th is Louisville. And 25th is an old Mountain West foe, the Boise State.
It's Brigham Young, not Brigham Young, but that's okay. Let's go to mine now. So I have Indiana as number 1 team in the country preseason. The reason is you're the champion. So you get knocked off, you're the number 1 team. So will they get knocked off? Very likely. But until then, they lose. They're number 1. I got the Buckeyes at 2, Georgia at 3, Arch Manning in Texas at 4, University of Miami at 5, Ole Miss at 6, Oregon at 7. Again, Texas Tech, we don't know now, but right now I have them at 8th. A&M at 9, LSU at 10, the Fighting Irish at 11, OU at 12, the Fighting Kalen DeBoers at 13, Michigan at 14, Brigham Young at 15, Tennessee at 16, Southern Cal 17, South Carolina 18, Houston at 19, Vatech at 20, Clemson at 21, Penn State at 22. I got University of Virginia at 23, South Florida at 24, and UNLV 25th. Ibach?
Yeah, so I'm with Peter. I also have Texas as number 1 coming in. Arch Manning, second year as a starter. He got a lot coming back. I think they're the number 1 team. Got Ohio State at 2. I mean, Julian Saint and Jeremiah Smith. It's going to be really hard to stop that duo this year. Ole Miss is kind of the team that stands out here. My top 25 is Trinidad Chambliss coming back. I mean, they were that close to getting to the national championship last year, and they probably shouldn't have even gotten that far, losing their head coach. And then got Georgia at 4, I got Notre Dame at 5, got Oregon at 6, Miami at 7, Texas A&M at 8, a program that's been rising in the last couple of years. LSU at 9, going to be a very interesting year with Lane Kiffin. I'm a little down on Indiana, which I probably shouldn't be because people who doubt Kurt Cignetti usually get proved wrong.
Unless you're a Bison fan?
Yeah, unless you're Matt Entz, you always prove Kurt Cignetti wrong. But Texas Tech, again, the whole Sorsby thing, we made these before this whole news came out.
Yep.
Still think the Big 12 just isn't strong enough. I got Texas Tech at 11. Oklahoma at 12, kind of a weird year last year. They got to the playoff in a weird way. Michigan 13, another team I think is going to take another step back up. Tennessee at 14, a team that really just can't seem to get over the hump in the last few years. Got BYU at 15, Virginia Tech, very high on them with James Franklin coming in, a guy who got fired for basically no reason in my mind. USC at 17, Alabama at 18, South Carolina number 19. I think they're going to have a really good year. In the SEC, the record might be deceiving, but they have 2 guys that are going to be first-round picks next year, likely. Mm-hmm. They got Clemson at 20, got Houston at 21, Arizona 22, got Washington 23, and my only G6 team in there is South Florida. Then I got Virginia, who was ACC runner-up last year at 25.
All right, so you put the list together, and this is what you get for us. So our combined top 25, we got Texas at number 1, Ohio State. Now, we'll only do 1 poll during the regular season, but we just want our preseason poll together. Yeah. So Ohio State, Georgia, Indiana's at 4, Miami 5, Ole Miss at 6, Oregon, Notre Dame, Texas Tech, and A&M are the top 10. LSU, Oklahoma, Michigan, Alabama, BYU, 11 through 15. Tennessee, Southern Cal, South Carolina, Virginia Tech and Houston at 20, Clemson, Penn State, Virginia, South Florida, and Arizona at the bottom of the poll. Receiving votes, because we did have some that didn't match up. Washington, Louisville, Boise State, and UNLV are all at the bottom of the receiving votes category. So let's go into our preseason top 5 polls let's start with the power conferences. So we'll begin here with the Southeastern Conference. I've got Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and Oklahoma are my 5.
Mine is Texas, Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. There is a ton of talent on all of these teams. It's going to be very curious and very interesting to see who kind of develops through these ranks.
Yeah, for the sake of the graphic and the show length, we had to do 5 instead of 10, but I wish we could do 10 because the SEC is so deep. But yeah, I got Texas 1. Obviously, they're number 1 in my national ranking. Got Ole Miss 2, Georgia 3, Texas A&M 4, and then I got Lane Kiffin's LSU at number 5.
All right, moving on to the Big Ten Conference. I'm going to start the year with Indiana at number 1. Probably going to change. I'm going to have Ohio State at 2, Oregon at 3, Michigan at 4. I'm high on Southern Cal. I have them coming in at 5.
I have Ohio State at 1. They bring a ton of talent back to the offensive side of the football. I have Indiana. It's going to be the thing about Indiana is the QB incident and the QB room. It's very interesting to see what's going on right now. Oregon with Dante Moore and Dylan Raiola running the bench right now. Michigan at 4 with Bryce Underwood and Dillingham being out there, and then Penn State is my sleeper 5th pick. I think Matt Campbell brings a ton of talent to that room, and just with that Big Ten schedule, so easy.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with you on Ohio State number 1. They lost a ton on defense, but when did they not lose a lot on defense? It's kind of like what Kirby Smart dealt with in the early 2020s here. I got Oregon number 2. Dan Lanning seems to take a step up every single year, and I think he does it again this year. Got them at 2. Indiana 3 again. I'm not as high as everyone else on them coming off the national title game, but Kurt Cignetti again, he'll probably prove me wrong. Michigan at 4, kind of in a weird spot, but I think bringing in a new head coach, new energy, going to be good for them. I also have USC at 5, like Grant. I think they're, Lincoln Riley, we can say what we want about him. He usually gets to 9-3. Can he get to 10-2 and finally get over the hump is the question.
We're going to find out rather quickly. On to the Big 12 now. Again, this is likely going to change because of what happened with Brendan Sorsby. If we could have done this yesterday, I would have changed this, but I'm going to stick with it for now. Texas Tech is at 1. BYU, I think, if this quarterback situation doesn't pan out with Texas Tech, I think easily BYU could step in and be that number 1 team. Houston, Arizona, and then the Sun Devils of Arizona State are my number 5 spot.
Texas Tech is number 1 for me. BYU at 2. It's just going to be another rematch in the Big 12 championship. I got a surprising team, Houston at 3. Oklahoma State at 4th. I really believe in the quarterback. I believe in the coach. They brought a lot from the transfer portal. It's going to be and they're in an average conference, so they can upset and strike some people. And then 5th, I have ASU.
Yeah, mine's the exact same as Grant's. I just want to comment about. I think Oklahoma State would be my number 6 on this list. I think bringing
probably,
in a lot of North Texas guys coming in. It's kind of like what reminds me of what JMU guys did when they went to Indiana. They'll probably go 10-2, like Indiana did in the Big Ten. But then again, the Big 12 is weaker. They can do better than that. Kind of depends on what happens. And Arizona State, I think, is better than this. Their schedule is a gauntlet for the Big 12. It is. So, and they lose Sam Levitt, but I trust what they have going on there.
All right, Atlantic Coast Conference, last of the Power Fours. I got Miami. Then I'll go with Clemson, Virginia Tech. I don't think they'll ascend to the top right away, but they'll be very competitive. I'll go Louisville and then Southern Methodist in there as my number 5.
Number 1, I have University of Miami. They're going to go undefeated unless they lose to Notre Dame and South Bend. Virginia Tech 2nd. I think James Franklin is going to win Coach of the Year in that league. Clemson at 3. Louisville at 4. It'd be interesting to see what Lincoln Keyholtz does being the starter now. And SMU at 5th.
Yeah, so I mean, if you don't pick Miami here, you don't know what you're talking about. Miami's number 1. They're going to get back into at least the quarterfinals next year. Virginia Tech 2, James Franklin. I mean, Virginia Tech could not have gotten into a better situation getting James Franklin. I like James Franklin as a coach. I think he's going to get them into the top 10 in the next few years. Clemson, Dabo Swinney, is he going to adapt to the transfer portal? We don't know.
Probably not.
ACC is just not good. So they'll be in there. Virginia brings back a lot, but again, it's Virginia. How good are they really going to be? They lost in the ACC title game. I have Florida State at 5. They obviously, the last 2 years have not gone well at all. I was between them and Louisville because Louisville brought in a lot of transfers and stuff. The ACC is just not good other than the top 2 to 3, so that's what I got for it.
If Miami doesn't win the ACC this year, I don't know what excuse Mario Cristobal has up his sleeve this year because you have zero excuse. Like, don't lose to Syracuse, don't lose to Louisville, go undefeated and be a top 2 seed in CFP moving forward. All right. New conference, let's pick it with the Mountain West Conference. Our preseason polls, I'll go first. I'm going to go UNLV at number 1. I'm ambitious. I'll put the Bison second. I'll go Hawaii at 3. I'll go New Mexico 4. Air Force at 5. I'll go Wyoming 6. I'll go the Fighting Niles Halls of San Jose State at 7. UTEP 8. Nevada 9. And Northern Illinois at 10.
I have UNLV the first spot. I have NDSU second. I think the jump is. I think it's going to go as smooth as it can. Mm-hmm. Hawaii at 3, New Mexico at 4, Wyoming at 5, San Jose State at 6, Nevada at 7, Air Force at 8, NIU at 9, and UTEP at 10. I think the bottom of the Mountain West is terrible.
There's a clear divide in this league.
Yeah, so I'm similar with the top teams and the bottom teams. You guys, I got New Mexico 1. I think they need to take advantage of this year because I don't think Jason Eck is going to be there past either this year or next year. I think he's going to get a power job. I got them at number 1. UNLV, they're with Dan Mullen. They're going to bring in a lot of talent. They're going to be really good. Hawaii, I got Hawaii at 3 just because they host the Bison. I have them ahead of the Bison because they host them. I think they're probably going to win that game. It's a tough trip and whatever. Got the Bison at 4. I think, like Bison fans, we'll get into this next week, but realistic expectations, they're not going to go 12-0. Yep. You got to expect 8-4, 9-3 would be a really good season. I got them at 4 at the moment. Could change down the stretch. Wyoming at 5. They're going to be sneaky this year. I think they're going to get back to a bowl season, 6-6, 7-5 type thing. San Jose State, they returned a lot, but again, they weren't good last year, so that's not exactly the best thing. Nevada, this is Jeff Choate's last year. I think he's going to get fired because they've been awful the last few years. Don't think they're going to be very good. They come to the Fargo Dome. Air Force, I think they're going to be down this year. I do think that they're going to be one of the teams that the Bison are really going to have to compete with down the stretch in the Mountain West. And then the last 2 teams, the Bison, these are borderline layup games. I mean, you still got to show up because it's FBS football now, but those teams are not good.
Yeah, we got to ask Niles this. Is Dennis Lynch coming back?
Yeah, oh gosh.
If he is, I hope
we have to get an interview with that guy.
We have to get, if we're lucky enough to go out to San Jose and we're interviewing Dennis Lynch, I'll pester Niles, see if we can get him on the show. All right, so now let's get into a segment that is Ethan's favorite, and that is his tier list. So there's no more Jimmy James Ogle tiers. There's no more Murray States in here. These are legit tiers. So let's start with the national title contenders.
Yeah, so these are my preference on who I think is going to be in that mix, and obviously there's going to be a lot because it's the beginning of the year. I got LSU, Texas, Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Oregon, Georgia, Miami, Ohio State. And the team that snuck in there is Indiana. You can't leave the defending champs out of there. But they were kind of that last team. And one thing to note here, that like you said, the tier list now, there's not going to be any jokes in there. But this fall, prepare. There's going to be some jokes.
Will there be some shade thrown to Brookings or Grand Forks or Vermilion?
There's going to be a lot of jokes thrown here in the tier list in this upcoming fall. But moving into the second tier here, these are teams that are contenders to make the CFP but not win it.
Yep.
You got Texas Tech.
Can we take Texas Tech out of there?
I think Big 12 they still are in.
Okay.
But Tennessee, a very outside chance. Oklahoma, I'm not a huge John Mateer guy, but I think they could sneak in because they got a really good defense. Alabama, I don't think is going to make it this year, but it's Alabama.
Yeah.
I think Kalen DeBoer is very overhated. I mean, it's hard to follow.
He's a good coach.
Yeah.
He may be in the wrong job, but he's a good coach.
Texas A&M, I wanted to sneak them into national title contender, but I just can't do it yet. They're not quite there.
Their offense tells me otherwise.
Yeah,
my CFP last year.
Elko is building it up to get there.
Yeah, they just lost their starting receiver, and it's going to be. And the thing about like Marcel Reese, is he's so inconsistent at times.
Yes.
Where it's like, oh, you made that throw, but you can't make that throw. It's just a common denominator with him.
You just described Cole Johnson right there.
Yeah, and then I got BYU. This is basically they got to win the Big 12 to get in. Michigan, they go 10-2. They're probably in. They're going to be pretty good. USC has got an outside chance. They just have to win that one big game that they never seem to do with Lincoln Riley.
Yep.
And then Virginia Tech. This one is the very far outside chance. I think they're a year off, but I think I wouldn't put it past James Franklin to get them there.
Absolutely.
So yeah, then going into Tier 3, this is kind of a joke, but not really at the same time. Hoping for a CFP expansion. Obviously, there's not going to be now this year. This is just the teams that are like that.
16, 24, that kind of range.
The like middle of the pack. I got Virginia. They probably wouldn't make it anyway, but if there's 24 teams, they probably sneak in somehow. Like last year, they would have. Penn State. I still think it's going to take a little bit, but Big Ten schedule, there's a lot of bottom feeder teams that you can beat. I think they go 9-3 this year. Arizona, I think, is going to be sneaky good, but again, Big 12. I think South Carolina is going to go like 8-4 this year, and people are going to fly them under the radar. But if they're in like the Big Ten, they're probably a CFP team. I think they're going to be really good. Plus, their coach is probably fired if they don't go 8-4. But
yeah,
I got Houston in there. Clemson, I don't trust Dabo Swinney. Washington has an absolute cake schedule. They're not going to win. They're not going to beat your Oregons of the world. But if they win, somehow upset somebody, they have a chance.
They could definitely sneak in with a 9-3 record and just steal a bit. I could definitely see that happening. I think South Carolina, it's like you said, it's boom or bust with Shane Beamer.
Yep.
You were this close 2 years ago making it, then you fall flat on your face the next year. So I'm not a gambling man, but I would not bet on South Carolina this year.
And this is their team to do it, because you got the first round pick quarterback, and you got Dylan Stewart, who's probably gonna be a top 10 pick off the edge.
Clemson's got to prove it to me.
Yeah.
You had a great roster last year. The first round reflected that in our mock draft and then the draft, and you went 6-6. That doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Remember when we watched Clemson LSU, Battle of the Titans, 2 CFP teams, and
neither of them were.
Both of them just went down the tubes. But moving on to the G6 playoff contenders.
Yeah, so don't hate me, Bison fans. I'm not putting them in yet.
They got to prove it.
Yeah,
I agree with you there.
If they start 6-0, 7-0, 8-0, whatever, we'll put them in probably. But anyway, Hawaii is very outside chance, because I think they're the third best team in the Mountain West.
Yep.
New Mexico and UNLV, speaks for themselves. They were 2 teams that I had in this on the top 2 of the Mountain West. Boise State speaks for themselves. They are the best G6 team, and
absolutely.
I would not be shocked if they win the Pac-12. San Diego State's also in there. I think those are the 2 teams in the Pac-12 that could do some damage. I got Memphis and South Florida. Those are the 2. Whatever that is, it the AAC that conference? Good conference, by the way.
Great conference.
Yeah, those 2 teams are gonna be battling it out. 2 teams that did lose a lot because I believe both coaches left and for power jobs. But again, I think that's a conference that's very winnable. So those are the teams I got in the G6 contenders.
Yeah. What you said about Memphis and USF, they both lost their coaches.
Yeah.
They both lost their starting quarterbacks.
That's what I was going to say, yep.
So they're losing all of their statistics, they're losing all their veteran leadership. They still have the roster to do it, but it's going to be very puzzling to see what happens.
Yeah, again, and the only thing I would add is that if NDSU, I'm interested to see throughout the season how the committee respects them, because we know the AP poll loves them.
Yeah.
Ranked highest 27, the highest an FCS team was ever ranked. If we're talking in late October and they just came off a huge win, is the committee chair going to sit there and go, 25? Let's put North Dakota State in. That's the only. I'm hoping to God that happens. We might spend half an hour talking about it the following Monday if that happens. But that's neither here nor there. So let's move on to the games of the year or the games to watch per se. We'll start with the power conferences. So we'll go conference by conference for this one. So we'll start with the SEC. I got Ole Miss and LSU. Do I need to say no more? That's going to be like, you see, have you noticed ESPN, they put like more wrestlers and stuff on TV and stuff? I could see one wrestler for each just walking out of the tunnel with a coach, just to get the hype going even more. This is a Herb Street and Fowler game. It's going to be electric in Ole Miss. That's my game to watch.
Yeah, it speaks for itself that Lane Kiffin's going back to Ole Miss. That's going to be absolutely electric. It'd be fun to be at that game in person. There's so many games that you could pick in the SEC. This was the obvious choice, but yeah, Peter's also got a very good choice here.
So with the Georgia and Ole Miss game, it's a battle of we have Pete Golden and Kirby Smart, but you also have Gunnar Stockton against Keon Lacey, Trinidad Shambles, and Ole Miss's defense is depleted due to the transfer portal and Lane Kiffin poaching all of his players back. It's going to be an up and down game, but last year this game happened. It was fireworks from the start. My butt's gonna be glued to the chair watching Oregon versus Ohio State again, because those games bring out the best in both teams, because those are the best 2 teams in the Big Ten.
Yeah. I also would say for the Big Ten, I mean, I have Oregon, Ohio State in there. I mean, self-explanatory, two of the top teams in college football. But it's like when the Bison play the Jacks, you build your whole season around that game. Okay, well, not the schedule. Oh, we got Bison Jacks here. That's how Ohio State Michigan is. And that game, if I could have fit 2 on here, I would have. But we only have room for 1. But that game means something every year. And I know Georgia Tech is clean old-fashioned hate. Mm-hmm. That's what Ohio State and Michigan is. They respect each other, but they really want to kick out of each other too. So those are the games I would go with.
Yeah, and then I got Indiana, Ohio State, kind of a quiet developing rivalry here because
and the game's in Bloomington this year.
Yeah, because when Indiana went to Columbus in 2024, they got the snot kicked out of them.
Yeah.
And we all kind of thought that would happen again in the Big Ten championship. Did not happen. Indiana was legit, beat them. Ohio State's going to have some fuel now to go into Indiana and win that game. That's going to be. I hope that's Gus Johnson and Joe Klatt. That'll be a fun game.
All right, let's go Big 12. And again, wish I could change my pick now because Texas Tech is in there. I got Arizona at Texas Tech. It's frustrating to talk about this game now because of the surrounding rumors of what's going to happen with Brendan Sorsby and at the quarterback position. In Arizona, they're just consistent. They're good every year. I like both of these teams. I'm interested to see what happens with Texas Tech, but they're just 2 consistent teams that play great football. It's just clean, old-fashioned good game.
You know 2 teams that hate each other?
Holy War, baby.
The Holy War. Utah versus BYU. This game was Spotlight ABC television when they played. I expect this to be a night game, and it's going to be rocking. I would not be shocked if Fox is like, yeah, we really don't want – we want to cover this game at the big noon kickoff. But I would love to see this game that night.
This game isn't big noon kickoff. This is a night. This has to be a night game under the lights. Let's do it. I mean, like just those teams just hate each other. It's amazing.
And yes, Utah might have a down year.
Yeah, you'll see later. I'm not high on them.
But it's a rivalry. I mean, 2 years ago we saw Michigan
throw the records out. Yeah,
we saw Michigan going to Columbus and beat them with a quarterback. I think it was Davis Warren as a quarterback.
Not good.
And it was like, okay.
Yeah, future attorney went in there and beat Ohio State.
Yeah, I've got Texas Tech and Arizona, but I like Peter's pick here because in the Big 12, with so many teams that are in that middle of the pack, like maybe sneaking into the CFP, they always seem to knock each other out. Like Arizona beat Texas Tech, didn't end up mattering because Texas Tech won the Big 12. But anyway, Texas Tech and Arizona, not a whole lot of great games to pick from, like that are non-big rivalries. But I just think, like Grant said, Arizona's in that mix for always being consistent. Texas Tech, we just kind of a lot of unknown, but yeah.
Yeah, the ACC, there really isn't a marquee game between 2 conference opponents. Now, Notre Dame is not a conference opponent, but technically they are. They're an affiliate member of the ACC. So we all have Miami, Notre Dame, so I'll give the floor to you guys. Catholics and convicts again. So
there's going to be levels to this game. Because Notre Dame is not traveling down to South Beach to play Miami.
It's in South Bend, not South Beach, right?
But now it's going to be in South Bend. It's going to be a November game, so Miami is going to be out of the state of Florida.
It's going to be cold,
and it's going to be. I am excited to see C.J. Carr versus Darian Mensah, and both of those defenses face each other. It's going to be hard-nosed, gritty, probably a lot of running into the game, and I would love to see some T-shirts made.
We'll see.
Yeah, this is going to be. I have this being for a top 4 seed because I think that both of these teams are going to run the table. Other than this game, whoever loses, Miami's schedule is so. Both teams actually have such easy schedules. It's about if Miami drops one to a team they shouldn't, like they usually do. Notre Dame is not going to lose a game other than this one if they do end up winning it, but. There's just not. The ACC is so weak. There's no other games to pick.
Yeah. So if there are highs, there must be lows. Let's go the disappointing teams in each conference. Let's start in the Southeastern Conference. It's pretty unanimous on the first, and we all went with Vanderbilt here with Diego Pavia moving on, and we were all right about Pavia. He wasn't drafted. They got a mini camp invite, and that's about it. So Vanderbilt is just they had their one great year. I think they're coming back. They're regressing to the mean here, guys.
They lose Stowers, they lose Pavia, and now you're bringing in a 5-star in Jared Curtis, who they probably paid $2 million for to see the result. You lose a bunch of your receiving production and your running backs. Boy, you do get Bo Johnson to protect you.
So well, that didn't work against Illinois State, so we'll see how he does against the other teams in the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah, I got Vanderbilt as well. Obviously, the schedule doesn't favor them quite a bit or much, and they lost a lot of talent. They lost a lot of veteran presence. obviously they bring in that 5-star quarterback. I think this is going to be a lot like, kind of like what happened with Colorado, where they had that upswing of like 2 years of excellence and then back down to earth. And I think that's kind of what's going to happen. I do trust Vanderbilt more than I do Colorado, though, so I think they'll get back to being good. But hot take, they might not be bowl eligible this year.
Yeah, I mean, you and I agree on the Big Ten team in Iowa. They're just frustrating. One year they get decent quarterback play, and they want to anoint that quarterback for sainthood. They went 8-4, and that's the high mark for that program at this point. They bank on that defense. I just don't trust their quarterback play. Never have and never will. Who's more disappointed? You think Iowa's disappointed losing Gronowski, or Gronowski that he could have gone to the draft last year, and the fact that Gronowski, I think we all agree on this. If Gronowski doesn't transfer to Iowa and just goes into the draft, he's drafted. Mm-hmm. I think that's true, but instead he plays here at Iowa. He was good, not great, and according to our guy Tanner Kester, he's going to get drafted. Instead, he's battling with Cam Miller to just be a backup in Miami.
Yeah, and I clapped back at him for that.
As you should have.
Got a lot of feedback from USD fans too. That was nice to hear. Made some friends down in Vermilion, but yeah, Iowa, they lost a lot, including people don't really talk about offensive line. They lost, I think, 2 guys to the draft at least, and guys that graduated and whatever.
Yep.
But they're just never that good, period, and I don't think it's going to get any better this year. And I hope they're decent, because I really hope Tim Polisic doesn't leave for that job. But
well, Kirk Ferentz is going to age out no matter what. So.
But yeah, I also like Illinois for this pick too.
Yeah, I have Illinois. Brett Bielema, he's an outstanding coach. But anytime you lose your starting quarterback in Altmaier, that it's just going to fall flat. And then you lose your transfer running. You lose your starting running back to the transfer because they start poaching him. So there's not a lot of positive outlooks on this team. But on the defensive side, they get it done. But they also lost their defensive coordinator. And so it'll be interesting to see where they come from.
Yeah, Big 12, I mean, mine might be a little surprising. I'm going with Utah. Kyle Whittingham was just such a staple as their head coach. You knew what you were getting when a Kyle Whittingham football team showed up to play your team, especially when you need to go out there and play Utah. Losing him's going to hurt. I think they're going to spend a year where they're going to regress a little bit. They'll be back. I'm for sure be back in 27. Just this year, they may come down a little bit, but still they'll be good. But they won't be going 10-2 like they have been recently.
Yeah, I got Cincinnati. It just feels like a 6-6 type of team this year, and they've been like the 9-3, 8-4 range. The Big 12 just doesn't excite me a whole lot, especially when it's not the top teams, and Cincinnati's one of those teams that does not add to the excitement.
I have the Wildcats, not Kansas State, but I have Arizona. I have a gut feeling on this team. Yes, they have they're one of the top seniors. I think it's in the 6th year coming back. Good coach. But there's just a sinking feeling that they're going to fall flat during this year. It's not going to go well for them.
Yeah, I'm not high on Virginia either in the ACC. Just look at their schedule. Road games at Florida State and at SMU. That's tough enough. And then they go at Virginia Tech. That's 3. Those are 3 road games that they're not winning. I'm sorry. The quarterback is gone. I have no belief in Virginia this year, so I'm out on them.
Yeah, I got Georgia Tech taking a step back. They went 9-3, I believe, last year, and they, if they pull off a miracle at the end against Georgia, they're 10-2, outside chance of getting in the CFP. But they've had such a great past couple of years. I think they take a big step back with the talent they lost. But again, the ACC just does not get me excited.
No.
It's just really bad that they lost their starting running back and their quarterback, Haynes King, graduates. Yep. I have Duke. Manny Diaz is a hell of a coach. But anytime you lose Darian Mensah to Miami, literally on the last hour of the transfer portal, getting poached, and you lose your starting wide receiver that was leading the team that year, yes, you didn't coach a defense, but the ACC, there's a lot of offense required into it, and once you lose all that production, and you take a quarterback from the mid-majors who's undersized and everything, it's like I said with Arizona, your season's going to fall flat and they're going to regress heavily.
All right, well, it's time for those teams that could be under the radar, maybe have that big breakout season. No one fits the bill in that category better than South Carolina, I think, out of the SEC. They're a breakout team here altogether. Lenore Sellers, he's the reason I picked him here. The guy can play himself into being a top 10 pick. He's got that kind of caliber. I think he can carry into possibly be a dark horse for the playoff.
Yeah, I talked about him earlier there. I think if they have a really good year, they could sneak in there. But at the same time, it's the SEC. I think they're going to go like 8-4, unfortunately. But that's a step up from where South Carolina's been. I think they just need to keep building, and this is if they're going to make the CFP, this is their year. Have them having a good breakout season.
Shane Beamer's got to get the ball rolling on this year and on this team, especially when you get all those players back. They are my surprising because, like I said about 10 to 15 minutes ago, they are boom or bust. And with that SEC schedule, as Ethan said, they're 8-4 or they're 10-2. There is no in between.
Yeah, speaking of boom or bust, it's usually a bust for Lincoln Riley and Southern Cal, but they got to break through at some point. They're too talented to not get close, at least come close to not saying win the Big Ten, at least make the playoff. Their season kind of comes down to a couple of games. They host Oregon, they host Washington, they go to Happy Valley when they play Ohio State, and they play at Indiana. If they can find a way to at least get two of those, at least make yourself relevant when we get to November instead. Because I always feel like we fall towards Thanksgiving, like, oh yeah, USC's playing UCLA with nothing to play for as usual, because UCLA's gone in the dumps, and USC usually isn't far behind them right now. So USC, they got to make it happen at some point. They have the talent, they just got to do it at this point.
If they win against either Indiana or Ohio State, and they pick them another,
can they beat Washington? Yeah, that's a Pac-12 rival. They just have to find a way to win.
It's you either beat Indiana, Ohio State, and then you pick up a valuable win with either Washington or Penn State. You're most likely into the playoffs just because of how highly ranked those teams are going to be. And as Lincoln Riley said, as you said, Grant, Lincoln Riley.
Thank you. I'm Lincoln Riley. I appreciate that.
It's you have to win these games now. USC's poured so many resources into that program, especially with recruiting, getting in the top class this year, and then pulling a legendary coach out of retirement to coach your defense.
Yeah, and by the way, looking at USC, or looking at with Penn State, that's their notable home game this year is Southern Cal. So you're probably going to play through that whiteout crowd and win that game. That'd be a huge statement for USC.
Yeah, and I think you have to win 3 of those if you're those 5 games you listed to get in the playoff. And Lincoln Riley just has not proven that yet. And they usually, last year the head scratcher was they lost in the Big House to a not very good Michigan team.
Yeah,
and they had I think they just need, they've had such great recruiting classes and they just have not broken through. Whether that's the portal, whether that's coaching, I don't know. Seems like they never have a good defense, but I think they have a good year this year.
Yeah, I was torn on who to go with in the Big 12. I was going to go Kansas State. The team looked disinterested. They looked tired, and that's the way Chris Kleiman. I mean, teams take on the personality of their coach, right? And that's kind of what Chris Kleiman was, and his team reflected that. He was able to get a bowl game win to send him out the right way. But Colin Klein, former player, was a Heisman Trophy finalist. He's going to rejuvenate. He's at A&M as the offensive coordinator. This is the kind of guy you want running your program. He's kind of a younger version of Polasek. Like this is his dream job as Kansas State. I think he can get that team and get them in the right direction pretty quickly. You guys have Houston.
Yeah, I got me and Peter both have Houston. I think schedule is somewhat favorable for a Big 12 schedule. And I think they brought back enough talent. I just think, again, the Big 12, you just got to win 1 or 2 big games and you're in the Big 12 championship. I do like the Kansas State pick. I think they're probably a year or 2 off. I like Kansas State just because of the ties between them and NDSU. But yeah, Houston's my pick.
2 words, Connor Wigman. He had an outstanding year last year. And that's due to the part there was lackluster expectations for him, but he really proved it last year. Yes, you lose your starting running back to the draft, but Wegman's also a runner too. So be on the watch for him. I think he's going to make some waves this year, and he has the potential to be first-team Big 12.
Yeah, Vodtech is our pick in the ACC for one reason. James Franklin. That's why we have Virginia Tech inside in the breakout selection here. So, I mean, anything else need to be said for Virginia Tech other than just James Franklin?
It's if you get to the ACC championship game, what a success story
Great
that would
season
be for
Virginia
year
Tech.
1. Yeah, that's all I got on that.
Virginia Tech needs it.
Yeah.
It's really embarrassing when you're watching one of their home games and it's a noon game. Seats are barely filled and you have Metallica playing. It's super sad, but I think James Franklin's going to get that place rocking.
All right, conference championship picks before the season starts. So let's go conference by conference once again. We'll start in the SEC as we always will. I'm gonna go Texas over Georgia. I don't have a great reasoning for that, but Texas, they're uberly talented every year. At some point, you got to break through and get to that would get to that conference title game and win it. So I'm going to go Texas over Georgia.
You know how impressive it would be if LSU beats Texas?
You'd hear a 4-letter word from Oxford if that happened.
It's going to be the reason I'm predicting this, I think LSU has the most superior talent in the SEC this year. And you know, they got a rough first 3-game stretch, but if they get it rolling, they could definitely storm into Mercedes-Benz Stadium and upset the Longhorns.
Yeah, I got Georgia and LSU, and this is a schedule thing for me. I don't think these are the 2 best teams. Georgia, I think, is going to go 12-0. I think their toughest game is Ole Miss, and other than that, I don't see them losing. I think they're going to go 12-0 and win that game.
Yeah.
LSU, it's like you said, if they get it rolling and they can have a really hot start and then just coast through, I think they make it. I have them going 11-1, so this is a 12-0 versus 11-1 thing. Both these teams would get in the CFP in that scenario. But yeah, I got Georgia winning the SEC.
Yeah, I'm high, big time. I'm high on Ohio State. I'm really high on Oregon. I like both these teams. It was kind of a coin flip for me. I'm just going to pick Ohio State. Jeremiah Smith is the best player in college football. I'm just going to go with the Buckeyes to win the Big Ten.
I'm rolling with you, Grant. Julian Sane,
Smart man.
In his sophomore year, you lose Cornell
He's
State.
got to prove it because he's in a quarterback battle right now.
Oh, gosh. But you have Bo Jackson coming back at the running back spot. You have Jeremiah Smith. You have Tyler Ennis. You have the Chris Henry Jr., the number 1 rated wide receiver in the cycle. You have it. You know, you lose Claire to the NFL draft, but you also have another superstar tight end coming into it. Guys, they lose so much on defense, but Ryan Day is known for just reloading that defense. And I have them defeating Josh Hoover and the Indiana Hoovers. Oh, Hoosiers.
Wow.
I got
Hoovers.
I got the same 2 teams at Grant, but I got flip flop. This would be the second matchup of the year because they play each other in the regular season. Oregon they won the Big Ten 2 years ago. You know, last year it wasn't a setback year. They just didn't get to the Big Ten title game. I think Ohio State will get there in back-to-back years and fall in the Big Ten title game. I just think these are the 2 best teams. I think the schedule in the Big Ten is like you win 2 big games and you're in. So. Yeah, those are my 2 teams in the
We
Big Ten
could see Ohio State, Oregon play each other 3 times.
I almost put it in here. We'll see our CFP in a bit, but I almost did it. I had to flip-flop some stuff.
Ohio State's Bo Jackson. Does he play baseball too?
I wish. That'd be pretty sick.
Does he run a 4.240 too? If he does, he's going to play for a long time. In the Big 12...
The Royals could use him, by the way.
Yes. So do the Twins. But this is not a Major League Baseball show. That's for 3 and Out and Peter's guys to talk about. We all have the same pick, but I don't know if I feel good about this anymore. So can we all unanimously just flip this and go BYU over Texas Tech? I think Bear Bachmeier is better than whoever Texas Tech trots out there. So I'm flipping my pick. So I'm going to go BYU over Texas Tech.
I'm going Red Raiders. I'm still going Red Raiders.
I'm sticking with them. I think Texas Tech is the one team in the Big 12 that has a legit defense. You know,
that's true.
We saw them play in the quarterfinals against Miami, I believe, when they lost in the playoff. Or no, Oregon. It was Oregon in the playoff.
Played in Miami.
Okay, that's where I screwed up.
And the half empty.
But it was
at
like,
11 o'clock.
Yeah. But it was 20.
Orange Bowl.
Yeah, it was 23-0. Like their defense is good. They just couldn't score. I still think they're going to win it, but I still think BYU's off by a bit, but I respect the pick.
Yeah, Ethan, it's the same thing with me. Yeah, it's their quarterback is going to be a huge question mark, but BYU is not at the same level as them, and that's why I have the Red Raiders beating them.
Yeah, ACC, pretty self-explanatory. Miami is they're getting back to where they were in the 2000s. They were this head and shoulder. They played the Big East at that time, but they were head and shoulders above everybody in that conference. They are definitely head and shoulders above everybody in the ACC. On paper, they've been a paper national champion the last 5 years. They're a great team.
Yeah.
Mario Cristobal just screws up one game a year, and either it's Pittsburgh, Syracuse, Louisville. There's always one game, SMU, where they just can't close it out. I hope it doesn't cost them the right to be in Charlotte for the ACC title game because they're the best team in this conference.
So with the new ACC format for their conference championship,
top 2.
It's a top 2, and it's they messed up so bad that they came back this year. They're like the top CFP rated team. If there's a tie, they'll excel to the conference championship.
It should have been done from day one, but
and so it's going to be unanimous off the board. I could see this being like a 42-20 game.
Yeah, well, and the whole issue with this is that we're building super conferences, so not everybody's playing each other, and that's why all that happens. So if Miami just takes care of their business, they're going to be there. The second team doesn't matter; they'll roll them. But yeah, unanimous pick for a reason.
Yeah, we don't have it on the screen, but the AAC, I got South Florida over Tulane. It's so tough. The AAC is so tough to pick. I would just go with South Florida being Tulane.
Yeah, I have South Florida being Tulane. South Florida is my G6 team to make the playoff. Not a whole lot of teams that are in this conference contending with them other than Memphis and Tulane. But Tulane was really good last year, and it showed.
I'm a huge Tulane fan. I think they're arguably one of the most underrated G6 teams. I have Tulane. I'm going opposite of you. I'm going Tulane beats USF because I think USF lost way too many people to the portal this year, and their head coach, so they're starting off from strong.
All right, let's go Mountain West. Peter and I both have NDSU over UNLV. Yes, we're very ambitious here picking NDSU to win the conference in year one, but again, the Bison have holes. We know that. UNLV, they're very good. You don't pick against NDSU in a big spot. I never have. I never will. I'm gonna take NDSU. Peter?
So going with Grant on the same prediction.
Yeah.
But I think UNLV they went to Boise and they lost. And they were ranked in the AP top 25 at that point into the year. Yes, NDSU, they have some holes to fill. But if it's going to be a physical running game, good luck.
But I'm just dreaming that if it's late November, the game will be on Fox or whatever, and it's a full Fargo Dome for probably the biggest. I mean, could we say the biggest game in NDSU's football history, a Mountain West Championship game against a team like UNLV? Glitz and Glamour from Vegas coming to Fargo. It's probably be 2 inches of snow on the ground by then. Yeah. Fox have a field day with that game. That's what I'm going with.
And like the storyline with this game is, yes, NDSU lost to UNLV, but round 2.
Fox may get record viewer numbers with this game in a conference style game, but you differ. You have New Mexico over UNLV.
Yeah, but one thing I will say is NDSU, a lot of the media out there is saying there's holes on the roster. Well, the other teams do too.
Right.
UNLV is a lot of transfers coming in.
Right, they have Jackson Earl, the quarterback. Yeah. But other than that, we don't know what else is on that team right now.
And New Mexico's the kind of constant that I think retained the most, and I think I have them beating UNLV, and I have Jason Eck getting a job offer from wherever and going somewhere else, Power 4 next year, because I don't see New Mexico holding on, because New Mexico has been terrible for so long. He gets there, they're immediately good. Those are the kind of guys that go to the Power 4 right away. But I think NDSU, we'll talk about this more next week, but I think, those 3 away games if you win 2 of them, I think you're in the Mountain West title game. But I have them losing 2 of them, and I think that's why they're not going to be in this.
All right, the brought back to life Pac-12 with a new logo, so that logo's now wrong, but who cares? No big deal. We all have the same pick. It's Boise State over San Diego State. It's the reputation of Boise State and just how damn good they are year after year. San Diego State's good, but Boise's just better.
Yeah, Boise, arguably the most, they have the most ability with the coach. That coach is never leaving. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. He's staying there. They always have consistent quarterback play. And, yes, San Diego State, they're really good. But Boise State, the stability piece of it, I just think that they stormed through.
Yeah, by the way, if the Power 4 and the G6 ever split, you're looking at your 8 quarterfinalists for the G6 playoffs, whatever they call it. But anyway, Boise State and San Diego State are head above everybody else in the Pac-12 roster-wise on paper. You don't always want to go off of what's on paper, but these are the 2 best teams. Boise State's going to win, and I think they're going to have a pretty good shot to get back to the playoff.
Yeah, CUSA is a coin flip. It's a bad conference. There's only 2 teams that are anywhere near good, and that's Kennesaw and Jacksonville State. I flipped the coin. It came up Kennesaw. That's it. They're good. They both transitioned to the group of 6 football better than I thought. Kennesaw, they're surprisingly good at FBS. Jacksonville State, they've won 9 games every year since they've been FBS. They're both very surprisingly consistent programs. I'm just going to pick Kennesaw and go with it. I don't know what else to say about this game.
Kennesaw State, they won 10 games last year as a program record. I think they're building a bunch of momentum heading into this year because I think that's when everybody's going to jump ship. But I have Kennesaw State winning the CUSA championship.
Yeah, this is more of a hopeful pick for me because I hope if the Bison end up winning, it makes them look better if Jacksonville State wins. Then if they lose, it also makes them look better for losing. But yeah, the 2 best teams for sure. I'd be shocked if anybody else is in this game.
Yeah, I'll name them. We have just 2 seconds to name them quick. Sunbelt, I have Georgia Southern over App State. Peter has Louisiana over Troy. Ethan has Georgia Southern over James Madison. And in the MAC, we don't have room on the slide for it. The MAC, I have Western Michigan over Miami of Ohio. Peter has Western Michigan over Miami of Ohio. Sorry, Miami, you're 0 for 3. Ethan has Toledo over Miami of Ohio. in that league. So let's move on now to the Coach of the Year picks. I'm going to go Dan Lanning. Steady every year. He's improved. Quarterfinal loss. Got to the semis. Got destroyed by Indiana. Now, it may take one more building year because I think they might get to the title game, then lose, and then next year get to the title and win it. So I'm going to like Lanning, just steady Eddie, just consistent, knows what he's doing. I mean, he's made Oregon a powerhouse again. I'm going to go Lanning.
I'm going to go with Sark. Now, with Sark, this is not a make it or break it, but this is his best roster on paper.
God, yeah.
You have Colin Simmons running the defense. You have Cam Coleman, the Auburn transfer, who is going to be with comparison to Jeremiah Smith, but Jeremiah Smith's obviously superior, as we're going to see on the next slide. And then you have Arch Manning, kind of the golden egg right there to see how they, and as as we kind of touched on, Texas has one of the hardest schedules in the SEC, but if they go 11-1, Sark has this on lock because with all the weapons, all the notoriety, he's going to have so many primetime games on ABC, ESPN, hell, even CBS sometimes. Because Ohio State's going to Texas this year. So yeah, and when they beat Ohio State, it's just going to be very impactful.
Yeah, I have Kirby Smart simply because I have him going 12-0, and if you go 12-0 and you're an SEC team, you probably win it.
Yeah, fair. That's fair.
Kirby Smart's just flat out a really good coach. I'm sure he's won this award before. I didn't really research that before, but yeah, I got Kirby Smart.
All right, Heisman picks. So with our Heisman picks, Ethan and I are going with Jeremiah Smith. He's the best player in college football. And if he represents that the way we think he can make the case to be the first wide receiver taken number one since Keyshawn in '94. I mean, he's just that good of a wide receiver talent. So what do we think, Ethan, on our pick here?
Yeah, it's the issue is that receivers, you really got to put up numbers.
Yeah.
And a lot of attention is going to be on him. Might not matter, when he's playing Rutgers or whatever, he might go 200 yards. He's just that good of a player. And, the Heisman voters know that it's not all stat-based. It can be based off of your impact on the team. But I agree. I think he's bare minimum the third pick in the draft. I think if the Dolphins are number 2, he's going there.
Well, I think he'll stat pad against Ball State and Kent State.
Yeah, that's not a good game to schedule.
Let's see. Maryland, Northwestern. The other games, okay, he's got to prove it against Texas and Iowa. And
those are the games where you win it,
Indiana and Southern Cal and Oregon, that's where he can prove it. But he might go for 15 catches for 300 yards in the first half and take him out. But you have Dante Moore, Peter, as your pick.
So the reason I kind of want to be different here because
it's a quarterback award, so it's fair.
We're gonna look. They're like, yeah, I think Jeremiah Smith is gonna go number 1 next year. I think it's just inevitable. But I look at the Oregon football schedule. There are tons of marquee matchups for Dante Moore to be featured.
Plays Boise in non-con.
They have Boise State once again. They face Oklahoma State, which I think is going to be a packed game. I think ESPN is going to pick up that tomorrow. USC, that's going to be another CBS primetime game. And then you have to go to Columbus. Then you have to go back-to-back against Michigan. I think there's tons of opportunities for him to ball out. And it's probably going to be one of the first times that, if this does come true, that a quarterback that was most likely going to get picked second or third is going to win the Heisman, coming back for his senior year.
All right, so let's now go into our CFP top 12. So I'll start us off with, so we won't pick the whole bracket, we'll just give you the team. So I think Ohio State is number 1. I'm high on Ohio State. I really like them. I have them going number 1. Texas at number 2. Miami at 3. Again, question my Texas Tech decision, but they're going to be in there at 4. Georgia at 5. Oregon at 6. Ole Miss at 7. LSU at 8. I have Notre Dame sneaking in there at 9. Their top 12 requirement, whatever their rule is, they get in there and there. Then I have Michigan, Southern Cal. Again, that group of 6 team that's going to be harder to get now with the Bison around, and it's going to be very competitive. So you get to that spot. I believe the most in South Florida. Again, the Bison are the mystery box. They can go 7-5. They can go 10-2. Who knows with the Bison? But for now, I'm going to stick with the team I feel the best about, in that South Florida. Peter?
So at the top left of the bracket, I have LSU at that 5th spot going against UNLV. And prior to filming this, I was like, I'm trying to match everything up. That spot, that number 12 spot with NDSU beating UNLV, that would probably most likely be NDSU at that 12 spot. Ole Miss at 8 against Indiana. That would be an insane game.
Yeah.
Ohio State versus Oklahoma, another banger of a game. Notre Dame at the 7th spot and Georgia at the 10. Doesn't get much better than that. And then Miami at that 4th spot for winning the ACC, Texas at 1, Texas Tech at 3, and Oregon at 2. I think I should look at a bunch of my quarterfinal games. So, for example, Miami LSU, crazy. Ole Miss Indiana versus Texas. We could have the national champion versus Texas. Texas Tech, Ohio State. That game's probably not as close as it would be now.
Yep.
And then Notre Dame. In my eyes, I have Notre Dame and Oregon. Oh, that would be a Peach Bowl game. That would be intense.
Yeah. So for mine, I said I had Georgia going 12-0 or 13-0, counting the SEC title game. That gets you the number 1. Texas Tech, I also have going 13-0. I'm going to stick with that. I think they get the 2. Oregon, I have going 12-1, including the Big Ten title game, which would get them the 3. And I think Ohio State would then fall to 5. You can't penalize them too much for that. And I said Notre Dame and Miami. Whoever loses that game will be like 11-1. I think Notre Dame going 12-0 with their schedule is worthy of a 4, probably not too much higher than that. Then these quarterfinals, other than the Ohio State one, I mean, Ole Miss traveling to Austin. That would be amazing. Please don't put that on like whatever TBS or whatever it was when Tulane, yeah, whatever. Oh, don't do streaming, please. But Indiana going to Miami, not as hyped up as it would be, but it's a national championship rematch, and Miami would be heavily they'd be motivated to win that game. And then Michigan traveling to LSU. I mean, the storyline's already written for that one. It would set up some really good quarterfinal matchups as well, but those are my 12 CFP teams.
All right, national championship picks. So in my national championship game, I'm going to match up Ohio State against Oregon. I'll wait for the graphics, but so we'll just pick them in the back. So I got Ohio State against Oregon. I know it's a little ambitious, 3 meetings in 1 year between these two teams. It's like at the Packers and the Bears play each other twice in the same year, then match up in the NFC Championship game, which has happened in the past. I think that happens again this year. I just like Ohio State. Something about this Ohio State team, Jeremiah Smith. I'm going with the Buckeyes to win this one. Peter, what's your pick?
So, I'm rolling with Texas versus Notre Dame. I'm being a little different here. I think both of these teams have the intangibles to make a run and get to the spot. I'm being a little biased here. Give me Notre Dame to win the national championship against Texas. Damn. I think C.J. Carr puts on a masterclass, and then he exits to go to the NFL draft, and then Marcus Freeman leaves as well to go to the NFL. But I think this is a fair send-off, and I would love to see them win their first national championship since 1988.
Okay, you just wrote 2 of your hot takes for next week.
I do think Notre Dame is going to be very good, but for my picks, I want to remind people there's only been 1 top 4 seed that has ever won a quarterfinal game.
Correct.
And I have that trend continuing. I have 1 team getting there, and it's Oregon. And you mentioned it. Oregon has gone 1 step closer every year. I have them getting to the national championship, but losing to Texas. Exactly how they do it. They lose quarterfinals, lose semifinals. Now they're going to lose in the national title game. I have Texas. This would be a gauntlet, by the way. I have them beating Ole Miss at home, beating Georgia. Of course, it's in the Rose Bowl, alternative site. And I have them beating Ohio State. I have Ohio State beating Notre Dame just because the seeding stuff is there. Why do we have 2 weeks in between quarterfinals? Don't ask me. But Texas, I have them getting through the gauntlet and winning the national championship.
Again, the FCS schedule makes so much sense for this, so they still won't do it. We play the first round, we play the second, we play the quarter, we play the title, then we have a couple weeks up, and then we play the championship game. Why are we having 2 weeks between which are around the playoff? Makes no sense.
Not even that. Guys, why are we playing college football in close to February? It
makes no sense.
Because damn the academic calendar. That doesn't mean anything according to anybody. Because money talks at all times.
It's terrible.
All right, hot takes that were right and wrong. Ibach, what do we got?
Yeah, so this was way back October 1st. This is a touchdown prediction only because it was made super early. It wasn't
October 1st, 2025. Yeah, so we'll give it to you.
Cole Payton gets drafted in the 2026 NFL Draft. Obviously happened this past week. Grant, on April 16th, there will be 5+ trades in the first round. I believe there was exactly 5. And a lot of them were late, by the way.
Yeah,
getting close.
Yeah.
And then Peter, on April 21st, there will be 6+ O linemen taken in the first round. I think there were 7.
Yeah, I think it was 7.
NFL
adjusting to, you obviously need offensive line. But all 3 of these were on April 16th. Grant having only 1 QB taken in the first round probably should have been right.
Stupid.
The Rams reach for Ty Simpson.
Stupid. That's all I'm going to say about that.
And then Cole Payton being a top 100 pick, I think he was, whatever he got picked, it was
160, so that didn't work. And Jack Stram was a hope and a prayer. He didn't get drafted. I was hoping on that one. I thought because there was a lot of buzz going around going into the draft. Like there was more buzz on him than there was Mark Gronowski. So it was interesting. But I mean, seriously, come on, Rams. Like, you're wasting a top 15 pick on Ty Simpson. He's not Aaron Rodgers. He's Ty Simpson. He started 15 games in college. Come on.
I was more shocked on Jack Strand that a team like with 7th round pick didn't take a chance.
Someone like wasn't he Mr. Irrelevant? I thought the Broncos would just say, "What the hell?"
Yeah. After seeing Bo Nix's Bo Nix's ankle this year, it's like just go take Jack Strand.
All right, your completions and such here, Ethan. What do we got here?
Yeah, so obviously I gained 1 touchdown here. I'm sitting at 7, Grant's at 4, and Peter's at 2. And then the completion percentage, I'm at 42, Peter's at 54, and Grant's at 35. Obviously a little deceiving with Peter not being here as long, but next year we'll all be fully going on this. So Grant's hot takes now.
Hot takes this week are mine, and I would say I feel pretty good. I feel decent about these picks. Most somebody's being right. I'm not high in Indiana. I know they started the year number 1 in my poll, but that's because I have the belief you are the champ until you're knocked off. So I don't. There are some tough games on their schedule I just don't trust. So I'm going to take them to miss the CFP. Mario Cristobal, it's about damn time you win an ACC title. If you don't, they've never won one, which is just, it's unbelievable to me how you're the University of Miami. You dominated for 30 years in college football, and then you can't win the ACC? That's the worst Power 4 conference by a mile as far as I'm concerned. So it's now or never for Cristobal to win the ACC, so I think they finally get it done this year. Hoping to, again, we don't know what the CFP show is going to look like this year every week, but I think that at least once you will see NDSU being flashed across the screen as that 25th ranked team. It's just, the ESPN loves NDSU. The polls have loved NDSU over the years. I think there's at least 1 week where they're in there. Maybe they're 6-0, 7-0, whatever. I think they'll be in the polls at least once. You heard me talk about it. I think Southern Cal, it's now or never also for Southern Cal. Lincoln Riley, you got to stand up and act like you're the best coach in college football. I mean, he's taken Oklahoma teams with much less talent and gotten them to at least the CFP, where there's only 4 teams that got it. He got there with less talent. He's got talent. He's got resources. You name it, he's got it in Southern Cal. Step up for yourself and be good in this Big Ten conference. Please, just once, be good. And we've already talked about Donovan Woolen a ton, but this is not a defensive conference. It's far from it. Again, hopefully we talk to the other people from the Mountain West about their takes on this. I think Woolen could be the best defensive player in this conference. We haven't seen him practice all spring because he's nursing injuries, and they don't want to have him to be all guns a-blazing in March. So, but I'm so high on Woolen. Again, we're only probably going to have him for this year until he transfers out somewhere else, as he should. He deserves a big bag contract or NIL money wherever he goes. I think he could be first team all Mountain West. Maybe, I don't know how they do. We'll have to dig into how the awards work in the Mountain West, but he could be up for defensive player of the year in the Mountain West. I believe in him that much. What do you guys think?
Yeah, so I'll kind of go on, like, the first one is a touchdown if you get it right, because obviously they're the national champs. And I think there's a very high possibility of this happening. I have them as the 11, which would be the last non-auto bid
group of 6,
to get in. And then the second one, just a completion, Miami winning the ACC because they should. Will they? We don't know.
No idea.
Then the third one, NDSU getting revealed. That's a touchdown because last year when we had some group of 6 teams in the teens ranked, and they still weren't in the top 25 revealed, I still think this could happen, but it's all about if the Bison can get off to a hot start, because the first show is in late October, early November?
Something like that.
Yeah, so they probably have to be undefeated. Then this one's also a touchdown. USC makes the playoff because they haven't done it in the CFP era.
Nope.
Even in this 12 team.
They've been close.
Yeah.
But then they would lose to Utah or Washington, a team that played with physicality.
Yeah.
So that's a problem.
That last one, a completion, because I don't see a world where this doesn't happen. I think he's going to be the best linebacker, close to the best linebacker of the conference. I believe X's son is still in the conference, and he's pretty dang good too.
Yeah.
But the big thing here is we'll talk about this next week. The Mountain West, the linebackers have to be in coverage, and Woolen is athletic enough to do that.
Yep.
So with the Indiana take, I could, like Ibach said, I could definitely see that happening, a touchdown, because it's very common. It's not that common to see a national champion out after they win it. Miami was if they don't win the ACC, he could get fired. That's a fireable offense. NDSU, I would love to see this happen. I could definitely see this happening on a crappy Tuesday college football selection show. As much as that pains me to say, I think that USC could make it because you have Jada Mayava starting once again for them.
Mr. Notre Dame fan.
It's struggle. It's good. Yes, the schedule's rough.
Yeah.
But you're getting paid to be one of the top 10 coaches in the FBS. You have your own private jet. USC's paying for your home, and you're back channeling for other jobs. You better make the college football playoff. And Donovan Woolen, yes. First team All-American, yes.
All Mountain West. If he makes All-American, that's a Hail Mary or anything else if he's an All-American out of the Mountain West. But we've kept you over an hour, so we'll shut things down here. So follow us on X, of course, for more content at Bison Overtime. Follower count 649. We appreciate that. Next week is our pseudo-season finale. We have some other things planned, so maybe one more episode, but we'll call it our season finale for now. Deep dive into the 2026 North Dakota State football team. We may have a couple special guests who will join us for that show, so we'll reveal that later when we have those set up. So stay tuned for our season finale. But we thank you for watching, for Cash and Jack in the back, who directed and produced this show, and for Peter and Ethan here on the set. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Grant Hubbard. We'll see you next week. Horns up and go Bison.